The fuck? What? Bro, why is my mic picking up feedback?
Like it looks like if you took a piece and went like that.
It's literally muted, but still somehow picking up some noise. What's up with that? Oh shit. Oh. Why is my. Wow. Any gainers? God damn it, bro. I need Roblox to go to 20 bucks so I can buy it again. Load. Bam! Look at that. Oh, oops. Hello. Oh my god. I had to fucking sneeze, but then it went away, like real quick.
Gunness maybe
Dude,
going
I had
there
a
instead. What
dream
are the
that
reasons behind this change?
Octave
Illy
was
now
getting
back on the
slammed in
sidelines,
scrims
potentially
because of
stuck
this
in
MCW
purgatory,
nerf.
full time on the
It made
Seattle
no
Surge,
sense.
knowing their history with potential buyout drama, or did Illy simply just fail to impress in the trials with Rocco for the last couple of days? Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate. There is plenty to get into today. Firstly,
Paul
Boston
Reagan's is a
Breach.
fucking
They've made some
G, bro.
serious changes to their coaching staff here. So Magic is in, so is Shawnee. Shawnee, I'm guessing, is retired, I suppose, because he was a player on the Boston Breach Academy for some time. The construction man, if you guys have been around a few years, from MW19 when he was just dominant force in that top construction building on that Ramaza map, which was horrible, but I'm sure he seemed to like it on that side of things. He was in the league, he was out of the league. Makes sense, to be fair, for Shawnee that he probably doesn't feel like another spot is going to come around anytime soon. So Dens is still their general manager. Zed is still their head coach, I suppose. We know that B-Sport Josh is gone, kicked out of the organization. There was some discussion potentially that, well, Zed and Josh, their roles were overlapping and all this. I'm like, okay, come on, they've been together for some time now. That sounds like a bit of an excuse to me to make a coaching change. As to whether you think that one of those or both of those guys are useless, I don't know. But clearly Boston, they're not in the best position. They're going to make some moves. Zed is there now. Magic is in. He was working with their academy side before, and now Shawnee is in as well. So whether this is now the key to turning the ship around at Boston, we shall see. Because they have the resources, Boston, and there are plenty of other teams down there at the bottom of the league with fewer resources than these guys.
Oh my
They have a couple
God.
of stages to get off rock bottom of the
Fucking
CDL
Solaire,
and
bro.
make it to the World Championship. I think they can do it. Am I massively inspired by their new team? No, I'll be honest. But look, we'll see how time dictates on this one. We've got to mention, though, as well, this map, 6-star, it's now officially in the game. What a beautiful map, man. It's super frustrating to me that it's not, well, frustrating maybe, but Sledgehammer, I don't know how long they've been sitting on this map for, or how long it's been developed for. But we've had to play some, you know, death and respawn simulators on some shocking maps, I'm not going to lie, this season. And then you see something this beautiful come along. And yeah, I mean, this is what the map looks like. It's absolutely stunning. I will show just quickly here, because this was going around, where the bomb sites are located. Now, Ben J. Nassim also mentioned, I mean, look at this B bomb site. It's so well put together, I think. This honestly could be great. I'm hoping that at least for one of the game modes, the pros put this in. Sledgehammer apparently have told Ben J. Nassim that the, let's say in respawn, we know that one of the hard points is in the water, in the pool on the other side of the map, which is, yeah, some people would say, shouldn't that really be the case, or shouldn't it? We can actually see the pool side, which is right about here. So one of the hard points is in this pool, and apparently Sledgehammer have told Ben and other content creators that, like, they are willing to consider changing it, but they think that it might work, so they want to try it. What I'm hoping is that the pros don't say, well, it's in the water, it's time to go, and then they don't bother considering the map, because they absolutely should. And look, even if this doesn't play that well with the spawn situation and everything, like, you can make a beautiful map if the spawns don't work, it still ain't great. But if it's got to be better than what we've currently got, right? Like, there's no doubt in my mind that this would play better and just be a better experience, given the fact that Sledgehammer have, to their credit, put effort in creating maps with some competitive idea in mind. Makes a lot more sense, I think, than playing the old school MW2 maps that were not designed in that way at all. If all of those old school MW2 maps were to disappear and we were to play the, 5-6 maps that Sledgehammer have tried to design for the competitive scene in some sense, the game would probably play better, to be fair. This almost looks like Plaza as well. It's that, I'ma try it out building. If you guys know what I'm talking about from back in the day, if you don't, then, you missed out on a great time, is all I'll say on that.
I'ma try it out. Okay.
However,
Fucking
we got
Vonderhaar,
some
bro.
serious changes to the game as well. Stun grenades, frag grenades, both nerfed in the changes.
I
So
noticed
as
I
we can
dropped
see
some
here, stun
frames.
grenade
Might have been when I
decreases
was
victim
opening
aim
YouTube stream,
slowness
though.
duration, which is, when you get stunned, you are stunned in this game. So that is now kind of being reduced to some degree. Victim movement and aim slowness now linearly scales down throughout the stun duration. And then also frag grenades. Decrease the inner explosive damage from 250 to 225. Decrease intermediate explosive damage from 150 to 130. So relatively significant. It's still going to kill you, let's be real, if it's close enough to you to make the damage work, but it won't kill you probably from as far away as it previously did. We also got changes potentially to the meta in the terms of the weapon department. My guess would be the pros are just going to keep using this stuff anyway. But the MCW and the Rival both nerfed yesterday. The MCW had its
Cheeky little
headshot
Rival
damage
nerf.
multiplier decreased
Probably hardly
down from
noticeable.
1.3 to 1.1x.
But
That means you can no
fuck
longer
it.
do a 4-shot kill with a headshot thrown in. So one headshot will no longer result in a 4-shot kill, which is definitely a good thing as far as I'm concerned. If you get a couple of headshots in there, I think it's still possible. But that was kind of what they did to the Krieg way back in Black Ops Cold
Where
War.
is
But
there?
still, this is, I think, a valuable change. They also changed around a couple of things on the
I don't even think I
attachments,
need
but
this.
the general perception seems to be from Octane and others hasn't really done much. The gun still basically feels the same. It's just not quite as lethal with a headshot thrown in, which I think is good. If you want to aim for the head and get a shorter time to kill, fine. But a random headshot thrown in, I don't think really should, benefit that much, to be honest. The Rifle 9, though, increased sprint to fire time, decreased near medium damage, decreased medium damage range, decreased lower torso, lower arm and hand damage multipliers. So that is relatively significant. The gun is still very good. It's still a bit of a ray gun. And, here's Fred sitting down playing some scrims. AR's just got nerfed with this, kind of smirk thing that he's got going on lately. We saw that the other day as well. But, the GA agenda is nearly complete. There's been lots of talk about the Rival being the god gun. It's got to be nerfed and all this stuff. And I don't really think the MCW is going to massively change. There's been a couple of different class setups being thrown around. I think basically it's a similar thing. I think Parasite said, just run the same thing, but with the Stalker boots instead. And he reckons that's the way to go now. So there's some debate. We'll see what the pros settle on over the coming days. There was also this from Dashi on standard aim assist, because we've heard this talk recently about dynamic versus standard. What's better, what's worse? Pretty sure Parasite was saying several weeks ago now that he reckons standard is actually the way to go. And apparently in this new update, Dashi's saying the same thing. Now, you've always got to wonder here,
Are we back, bro?
as
They're trying to bait.
says, whether this is merely propaganda, whether he's telling the other teams and obviously telling everybody, hey, use standard, it's definitely better, guys, on the aim assist settings, and the other teams start to use
What am
it.
I
They
leading
think, yeah,
here?
maybe Dashi's onto something here, but actually it's not better, and therefore Optic and Dashi could gain a competitive
I like
advantage.
it. Good
I
bait,
don't know.
good bait.
It's probably worth trying out both, but there is arguments to suggest
Standard
that
aim
standard aim
assist.
assist could be better
Bro,
for certain
dynamics
individuals. The
ridiculous.
other point, though, is on whether anything could replace the Rival. Like the MCW, sure, there's been a change, but I don't think that's going to be replaced. It's possible that another gun could come in for the Rival, potentially, as Parasite says. Meta hasn't changed, classes are the same, just a more balanced game now between the ARs and the SMGs. But as DJ says, Lear being simp, dragged his nuts on my...
Jesus Christ, Teach. These Pokemon got huge buffs in the teal mask. I'm actually curious.
Scarlet and Violet's first DLC, the Teal Mask,
put
was
some cool
released
Pokemon on the
recently, and
thumbnail.
there are a
I'm
bunch
intrigued.
of older Pokemon that received pretty major buffs. In order to make sure that this video isn't too long, I went through all of the changes and singled out the ones that I thought were the most impactful and the most important. So if there's something that you noticed that I didn't, that's totally possible. These are just the ones that I thought were the most important.
Alright, we just lead
Let's start off with
artillery.
one of the bigger
and
ones,
we rock.
Empoleon. Now, Empoleon has never been a good Pokemon, though it did win the World Championships back in, I think, 2009, but it's
So I don't
overall
think
not a
this
great
thing-
Pokemon.
it doesn't-
Water and
it's got
Steel is a good
Brave
defensive
Bird,
typing, but
that's
its
about
stats are
it.
kind of mediocre, and its ability Defiant, while good, it was not great because Empoleon likes to be a special attacker, which is why it's kind of a big deal that now Empoleon's hidden ability was changed from Defiant to Competitive.
Ooh.
This might seem like a small change because both abilities kind of do the same thing, where if a stat is dropped, they get a +2 buff and an offensive stat, but it's actually a pretty major deal. Empoleon's special attack stat is a lot higher than its attack stat, and so this means that if you don't get the boost from an intimidating
oh my god, wait, that
opponent
makes
or an
it so
icy
sturdy
wind
doesn't
or
even
some
work,
kind of stat
bro.
lowering, Empoleon's a lot stronger as a special attacker compared to being a physical attacker. Importantly, the most common ways that opponents will lower your stats is the Intimidate ability, which, you know, it still activates Defiant,
so
and
you
still
bite
end
your
up with a
sturdy kid.
+1 attack boost, but if it activates a competitive Pokemon, that boost is +2,
Drift
which
Blim,
is a lot
I ain't
more
hear no
impactful.
bill.
Overall, I don't think this is going to make Empoleon like the most common Pokemon of all time, but I do think that it allows it to go from virtually no usage after 2009 to at least possibly being worth considered,
for
if
super
not in this
effective
game,
damage.
then at least in future games. But Empoleon isn't the only Sinnoh starter to receive a pretty major buff. Torterra, a Pokemon that I think has almost no competitive play, so much so that as a fun fact, there was actually a time in 2015 where players were considering using
doesn't have the
Throttle
burn boost yet,
instead
so we
of
lived the
Torterra, but yeah, Torterra's basically never been used before competitively.
I think it's a lot of
while
HP.
I don't think it'll be the most popular Pokemon, it did receive two
There's
pretty
the
major
burn.
buffs.
It gets its special
The
attack
first is the
buff.
attack Shell Smash, which at the
Oh,
cost
bro,
of
if
one
I like
stage, your
double
defense
swap,
and
get the
special defense,
Mold
doubles
Breaker.
your speed, special attack, and
Mold
attack
Breaker?
stats. This move is especially good on Torterra because
What
although
else
it
is
does
this thing
lower
have?
its
Hurricane,
defenses,
Shadow Ball,
its
T-Ball,
defenses are actually
D-Bond.
relatively high, and its speed and its offenses are the thing that lacks a little bit. So I think it's actually a pretty good trade-off, especially if you're holding
I don't
an item
know.
like
It's
the
probably
White
gonna
Herb,
click.
which allows you
It could
to
click
negate
anything and kill
negative
me.
stat
I don't
drop.
think it's
So
gonna go for
overall,
Hurricane. I
I
might
think this is a
Shadow
really
Ball
interesting
here.
change, and I think that it could allow Torterra to at least have some niche uses.
If we switch into
On top of that, Torterra
Pert.
also got access to the move
Switch
Grassy
into
Glide,
Pert.
which I don't believe it ever had access to before. Grassy Glide
Shadow
did
Ball's
receive
gonna
a
hurt
pretty
like a
major nerf,
motherfucker,
down
but-
from 70 base power to 55.
Oh, goes for
but
Hurricane and
this is
actually
still a
hits
good
it.
move, and in
That's
Grassy terrain,
crazy.
it is a priority attack. I don't know if you really want to pair it with Rillaboom, but like maybe you could run an Assault Vest set and you could have both Woodhammer and Grassy Glide in case your
They might
opponent's
heal
got the
this turn.
terrain. It's at least worth considering in my opinion, so
I'm gonna
it
just click
certainly
Rock Tomb.
doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
This next Pokemon is
Dude, if we
another
get a
Pokemon
speed
that
drop-
received an ability change, and from what I can tell, it's one that people
Actually, we're
are
guaranteed a
very,
speed
very
drop, aren't we?
excited about. Shiftry, a Pokemon that hasn't been good since 2010 probably,
Okay.
has received a pretty major buff, which is that one of its abilities, Early Bird, which is not a super useful ability between you and me, has been changed to the very powerful ability Wind Rider. Wind Rider is like
I go for an
maybe one of the
Aquatail
most
here?
broken abilities ever created. It's so good, in fact, that Bramblegast, a Pokemon with
This thing's
very
not
little
faster
going
than me,
for
is
it,
it?
was
Actually, it
able to
probably
top
is.
cut the
Am I
World
kidding?
Championships this year, despite having a lot of really powerful Pokemon like Urshifu and Landorus, and Heatran, etc., pretty much off the back of this ability. If you're not aware
Oh,
of
yeah.
how it works,
Yeah, no, this
basically
thing-
this ability makes you immune
thing will
to
be faster than
all
me.
wind category moves. That means like Heat Wave and Icy Wind and Bleak Wind Storm, and I think maybe even Blizzard. There's a lot of moves that you're immune to, and not only are you immune to them, but if you ever get hit by one, you get an attack boost. On top of that, if Tailwind is set up, you also get an attack boost, or if you switch in and Tailwind is already up on your side, you also get an attack boost. Now, Shiftry doesn't have that much going for it, in large part because its defensive typing is bad and its stats are also not that great, but given access to this ability, I think it's actually legitimate. It already has access to Fake Out, it has a number of decent moves like Leaf Blade and Knock Off, and a bunch of other interesting moves as well, Swords Dance, Taunt, etc. Sucker Punch
Yikes.
for priority, and I think it gets Grassy Glide, and Explosion if you want to go boom. It has a lot that it can do, but with a Focus Sash and a move pool of like Fake Out,
Yo, Mirage, what's good? What's good? What's good? Oh my god, it's gonna be loud. Ah! I don't take 2 Shadow Balls. I take 1, I don't take 2 though. So I want to just come in and click Hex, but I don't think I'll get the chance. I guess I could just switch into Arbok. I mean, I gotta outspeed it. I would think. Can't stay long, gotta take care of a few things, no issue. No problem. Gotta do what you gotta do. Appreciate you stopping by. Oh, it could be close. I do have speed investment on my Arbok though, so. Only one way to find out, I guess. How do we take it? Decent. I figured. Ooh. Interesting. I think we'll give up on it. I'm good with what I have. Light score. I kind of, yeah, I'm good. Okay. So this most likely an EQ coming my way. It could be acrobatics too, because that kills. So. I think I'll switch into Glaceon. Flying Gem. Oh, it goes for the EQ. Okay. I have a Swerve even kill. Bye, Gliscor. Bye bye. Oh my god, why did I drop so many fucking frames, dude?
Out, knock off, Leaf Blade, and I don't know, Sucker Punch or Protect or something. I think that it could actually be pretty strong. I mean, we saw Brambleghast do very well at this World Championship despite not having as much going for it. I think its attack set is a bit higher, but yeah, I mean, Shiftry is a like meaningfully better support move pool, whereas Brambleghast is pretty narrow. The really nice thing is if you ever switch in on a wind type move like Heat Wave or Icy Wind, which are relatively common, you immediately get the attack boost, and if it's in Tailwind, that means you get 2 attacks.
The thing is very specially bulky.
I mean, it's a really broken ability, and while Shiftry isn't a good Pokemon without it by any means, I think it's worth considering, especially since it has Fake Out. That's a really good skill. I take Shiftry from being completely irrelevant to actually maybe having a niche. I don't think it's going to be meta like like similar to the other Pokemon, but I do think it will get some usage. So we'll have to see how this thing does.
But I mean, the damage is done at this point.
I want to take a second to just let you all know that
I think we've ran away with this
recently, where I'm offering a lot of competitive, educational, and entertaining content. There's multiple bonus videos per month, as well as the ability to submit your teams for review, and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. I don't want to take too much time, so you can check it all out yourself at patreon.com/wolfievgc, but I feel really good about the value that we're providing, so if you want more educational or entertaining content, recommend you at least check out the different tiers. That covers the ability changes and the kind of major buffs. The rest of these will have a slightly lower impact, but I think they're still relevant, starting with Rillaboom, who has once again been given Grassy Glide. For anyone unaware, Grassy Glide is a lower base power move that has priority, but only if grassy terrain is active, and since Rillaboom's Grassy Surge ability automatically sets up grassy terrain, it's a good combo, right? Rillaboom basically sets up its own priority enabling terrain, which also boosts the power by virtue of being a grass. This used to be 70 base power, which was absurd. It was incredibly powerful, and they have nerfed it not to 65, not to 60, but to 55, which this is a substantial nerf. However, this is still a very powerful Pokemon, and I still think that Rillaboom with Grassy Glide is a massive deal that you should almost always be using. The thing about Grassy Glide back in Gen 8 was it was actually useful as like a KO move. Like you could run Choice Band Grassy Glide and you would be doing enormous amounts of damage to a lot of Pokemon in the format. You're probably not going to be getting so many one-hit KOs anymore. With Choice Band, you could probably pick up stuff like Flutter Mane and Urshifu Water, but you're you're not going to be doing as like intense damage, but I think that that's okay. Yeah, sometimes you want to be doing big damage with the Grassy Glide, but it's mostly there to combo with your faster teammates and to pick off like focus sash Pokemon and stuff like
just
that.
An ominous wind,
targets. Grassy Glide still functions basically the same.
Oh, it's trying to pass a wish.
How low the opponent has to be for you to KO them is different, but the
give me the stat boost.
I mean, Rillaboom almost won the World Championships without
super necessary crit.
And I also don't think that there's that high of an opportunity cost for running Grassy Glide on Rillaboom. You can still run on like an Assault Vest
now
set, take out Woodhammer, Grassy Glide, and
her last
coverage move. Yeah, I don't actually think it's that like troublesome to fit on Rillaboom.
It's a male though,
so you obviously want Grassy Glide anyway, and you also don't need to run Fake Out, right? You run U-turn, Woodhammer, Grassy Glide, and then either
Scald,
Tantrum or Low Kick or Knockoff or something.
Hopefully no burn.
Yeah, I think that overall this is a huge buff.
Oh my god, it skillfully dodges.
Buff, but it is new given Scarlet and Violet. So next up we have Scizor. Now Scizor isn't like a super meta relevant Pokemon, but it did get access to 3 new moves, which I think are all somewhat relevant. The first is Knockoff. Knockoff is just a great utility move. It's really nice because like if your opponent is anticipating a super effective move, you can hit them with a Knockoff, take away their item, very useful. It also gets Bug Bite, which is a big deal because of Scizor's ability Technician, which means if a move is under 60 base power, it will be powered up to 90 base power. Bug Bite isn't normally used because 60 base power is so low, but with Technician, it's 90 base power. It's stronger than like X-Scizor and U-Turn. So on the whole, this is actually a pretty nice move for Scizor if you want a Bug type attack, especially because Bug Bite eats berries, and that's pretty useful. Eating a Citrus Berry or removing a Resist Berry, those are useful things. Scizor is definitely not upset to have access to that. The last move that I want to talk about on Scizor is Dual Wing Beat, which is a 40 base power move that hits twice. So
I gotta reset the internet every fucking
day. Each of those 40 base power hits gets powered up by Technician. This basically goes from an 80 base power move to a 120 base power move, which is a meaningful increase. Like I mean that's a pretty strong attack. If you wanted to use Terra Flying Dual Wing Beat, you could probably do some pretty serious damage, especially with a boosting item. I don't think that Scizor really has that much room to run Dual Wing Beat. This might actually be worth some consideration because with Bullet Punch, positive matchup into Chenpao and Fluttermane, with Dual Wing Beat, you're good into Ogerpon as well. I mean, Scizor, unless they're the fire type one, you have positive matchup into the grass types like Rillaboom and Amoonguss, and also the fighting types like Urshifu and Urshifu. There's a lot of things that Scizor can hit for super effective damage. I don't necessarily think it's going to be meta, but these are nice tools, and on the right team, I think that like the right player can appreciate having a couple more options here. We should also talk about Scyther. Scyther also gets Dual Wing Beat. This is more meaningful in Scyther than Scizor because Scizor isn't a flying type, so it isn't as powerful. Eviolite Scyther is faster than Scizor. It's not a better Pokemon. I don't think its matchup spread is better either, but it has been used before. It could be used again. It's relatively fast.
I think I'm gonna
flying,
restart
having
my
a 4
internet
times grass
while it's
is
still
gonna
early.
be nice in case Ogerpon becomes, especially in its grass form,